Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Christopher Gennari, and this is Great Big History Podcast. In this episode, we do a couple more revolutions: the French Revolution, the Napoleonic Empire, and the Haitian Revolution. So we're going from 1789 to 1815. So, the French Revolution, which is incredibly complicated, and we're going to try to do it in 20 minutes. So, this is how we're going to try. So the question is, do we have to listen to the king if he can't help us? And if the king loses power, who gets it? The nobility, which is what Montesquieu, a French philosopher, argued. Montesquieu is most famous for his division of power, his branches of government, to take French absolutism and break it up into an executive, a legislative, and judicial branch. Now, Montesquieu was a French nobleman who had no power. So what he envisioned was the French nobility taking over. So, all right, the executive was still the king, sure. But then the judicial and the legislative branches would be all noblemen. So that was his idea. So does the nobility get the power? Or do the middle classes get the power, like Locke says? Or do the people get the power, which is what Rousseau says? That's the question of the French Revolution. Now, before we could get to the French Revolution, we have to go back to that first part. What do you mean if the king can't help us? Well, France in 1785 and 1789 is bankrupt because it had to fight Britain all over the world, and it was bankrupt from helping the United States gain its independence. So yes, we caused the French Revolution, but not in the way most people like to think, with our great ideas and our Declaration of Independence. Nope. We bankrupted France and drove the people to murder their king. So, France is bankrupt because it got involved with the wars in Britain and helping the United States. Now, that's okay because the peasants are paying most of the taxes. So, all right, the peasants are hurting. They don't have a lot of money, but they got land, and they'll make more food, and they'll sell that food, and they'll make more. So we just have to wait. France is still the richest country in the world, and as long as nothing bad happens, things will be fine. Well, guess what happens? What happens is a famine breaks out. That whole corn and wheat that we were relying on dries up. It's an awful series of famines, awful droughts, and it's a disaster for the poor. It's a disaster for the peasants. Now, the peasants can't make any money, so they can't pay any taxes, so it's a disaster for the king. So the people are like, "King, help me!" And the king, because he's bankrupt, has no money to help. So you see the problem. Okay, so the people are demanding help because they're starving. So they go to the king because the king is supposed to help them. This is what kings do. This is their job. The king gets to make the money, live in the big house, fight the wars, as long as he takes care of the people when they need it. That's the deal. So the king has no money. So he's like, okay, people, I will help you. I got this. And so he calls up his nobility. Hey, noble guys, come here. Nobility, you gotta pay some money. Please pay some money. I gotta help the people. And the nobility are like, oh, dude, you're the king. Totally. We're totally going to give you the money if you give up some of that power of yours. And the king is like, all right, let's talk. We could talk about this. Meanwhile, the middle classes, who don't have any power, who are paying taxes, but are living in cities and they're like involved in trade, they're the new money. They're the same people who revolted in America, in Boston and Virginia. These people are like, whoa, king, what about us? We'll pay taxes. We'll pay more taxes, and you give us power. And the king and nobility turn to the middle classes and go, STFU. Shut up. The big boys are talking. And the middle classes are like, no, F you. And the middle classes go to the peasants. And they go, hey, peasants, guess what? The king and the nobility are going to fork you guys. They're going to make a deal about power and some money, and they're not going to help you at all. And the peasants freak out. Fork that, man. Fork that. They arrest the king. They start executing nobility. The peasants are done. They burn down noble houses because that's where the money's got to be, right? And so you get a full-scale, like, revolt turns into a revolution. And this creates chaos. The nobility go fleeing for their lives. The king is arrested. The people are rioting, right? And the middle classes are like, all right, we're going to run this show. We're going to run it. So the first thing they come out with is the Declarations of the Rights of Man. We're going to get rid of that nobility. We'll keep the king, but no more nobility. All men are equal. The king just has a nice job, but we're all equal. It's very Locke. In fact, Jefferson will say he had a role in it. So does who else? Lafayette has something of a say in the rights of man. So if the French Revolution is in any place like looks like the American Revolution philosophically, it's here. It's in this one document, the Declaration of the Rights of Man. But it is very French. So, no more nobility. The king has limited power. Great. 1789 becomes 1790. Things are crazy. But not crazy yet. Outside of France, though, fear. The nobility outside of France and the rest of Europe is petrified because now their cousins, their sister-in-laws, their brothers' nephews are coming to them looking for help and showing up and being like, oh my God, the peasants are rioting. They're rioting and they're having freedom and they burned our house down. And these nobility in Germany, in Austria, in Italy are like, if the French peasants revolt and the French peasants get rights, what about our peasants? They're going to start demanding stuff. And if they're cutting off the heads of rich people in France, they're going to want to cut my head off. Fork that. See, we keep going with fork that. Fork that, and Austria and Brandenburg, Prussia invade. So Germany invades France. Part of an ancient conflict, goes all the way back before Caesar invaded Gaul. The French and the Germans are fighting again, and Germany, its northern Protestant part and its southern Catholic part, unite for a moment to invade France. We, our kings, can agree we're going to save the French king, which is actually the cousin of the Austrian king and his brother-in-law. We're going to restore the French nobility, who are like all of our cousins. We're all married to each other. Like the nobility of France, rich people have more in common with other rich people than with the people of their own country. And you need to know that. Like when rich people get together at Davos, they're all homeboys. They're all rich people. They're not American and Egyptian and Saudi. They're rich. Rich is its own nationality. And this is plainly seen in the French Revolution, because the French Revolution becomes the French Revolution and Napoleon, because all these people are connected. And so outside foreigners, Germans, are invading France to save the French king, who they're related to save the French nobility, who they're related to, and to make it 1788 again. We're going to make France 1788 again. So this is a foreign invasion, which freaks out the French because they're being invaded by Germans. So it's save the revolution. They want to destroy our rights. They want to get rid of the Declaration of the Rights of Man. We have to fight for the revolution. And that's the levee in Masse. Levee, new word, En, new word, Masse, the leve en masse. This is a new type of warfare. It's where all national energy is thrown into the army. If you are a man between the ages of 16 and 60, you are either going to be in the army or work in an industry making stuff for the army. All of your taxes, like 90% of the money the government's going to spend, is going towards the military. This is all hands on deck. You have to save, if you are French and you love your rights and you don't want the nobility to tell you what to do anymore, you have to save the revolution. So you join the army. And there's never been anything like this before in Europe. We have to probably go back to tumult of Rome, where they just pull out all the stops. This is probably like Hannibal crossing the Alps level of national mobilization. And we haven't seen anything like that. Because the thing that happens is, the moment you put people into the army, the moment you put peasants in the army, they want a say. They want rights. And what the French Revolution is saying is, you got your rights. We're giving you your rights. Go defend them. And that creates France. That creates a nation. That creates a national identity. And we see this in the first national anthem, the La Marseillaise. This is La, L-A, Marseillaise. Marseillaise. Mars, M-A-R-S. E-I-L-L-A-I-S-E. This is the first national anthem. This is the first song for the people of the nation, and it creates nationalism. It's, we have something to lose. We, peasant and worker, and if French speaker and northerner and southerner, we all have something in common. French citizens have French rights. And we are going to fight. And we're going to throw out the Germans. And actually, the war is going to expand, because having kicked the Germans out of France with this new super army of highly motivated men fighting, we're going to take it to the Germans. We're going to liberate their peasants. Because those peasants didn't want to invade us. They were made to invade us by their nobility. So we're going to free them by overthrowing the German nobility, the Austrian nobility. So suddenly, now we're getting a continental war, right? Now the revolution is spreading. But there's a problem. And that problem is that we got invaded by foreigners. Who would benefit from that? Who is working with those people? There must be enemies within. And to find those enemies within, to find those counter-revolutionaries, those people who don't want the revolution to succeed, they start what they called the terror. And this is where the guillotine comes in. Now, the guillotine is an invention to save people from the horrors of being murdered. Because the way you would execute traitors was you would cut their heads off with an axe. Well, during the French Revolution, there's so many heads to cut off that those axes got dull, and you might not get through on the first hit. Or they're amateurs. They're not very good at cutting the heads off, and you miss because you get sweaty and you're scared, and you're going to cut the head off your nobleman who you like your grandpapa took orders from, and took orders from his grandpapa. They went on crusades together. I mean, like, that's hard to do. The guillotine, on the other hand, was made by Dr. Guillotine to end human suffering. Not to stop the revolution and not to stop the killing of traitors, but to make it easier so that blade always comes through. It will always slice. It's like a deli slicer. It doesn't chop like the way you would with an axe, so that the whole blade hits at the same time and thus gets dull. It slices like a deli slicer. So it rolls, so it stays sharper longer. It uses gravity. It cuts through every time, and since it's on a, I don't know what you would call it. It's on a road. It always comes down in the same place. You put the head in, the neck is exposed, it comes down every time. It's great. It's so much better than being hit in the head with an axe. It is humane. It is a humane execution. But it also allowed for the industrialization of murder. You don't have to have a professional cutting the heads off of people. You don't have to have the sharp axe. All you need is this 15-foot tall razor blade that comes down, boom, boom, boom. And it's because it's 15 feet tall, it has to be in public, which is good for your shows. You want to cut the head off the king? Great, you could show everybody that. So the guillotine is public execution. But when it's not being used, it also tells you it's not being used. Why do we have a guillotine if it's not being used? Who isn't finding the enemies? And so what you get is the first case of industrialized murder. The guillotine requires people to be fed to it. It demands being used. And it can every minute, bang, bang, bang. So what used to be, you might cut the heads off of 5 people in one day and be exhausted. And everyone will go home and be like horrified. Now it's bang, 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 bang. 100 people, 200 people a day. You just line them up, whack them down. So you get industrialized murder. The amount of people, this starts making the Inquisition look like Sunday school. The revolution starts to eat itself because now you have to prove you are a real revolutionary. And so what happens to the revolution is it goes left. It gets radical. As people not wanting to get eaten by the guillotine start to prove things or demand things. Like, how much land should the peasants have? The peasants should have 20 acres, 40 acres and a mule. Because that's as much as they could farm. Take it from the nobility. Woo, woo, woo. That's great. And then someone gets up and goes, you hate the peasants. No, I love the peasants. I want the peasants to have 40 acres and a mule. No. You hate the peasants. The peasants should have 1,000 acres. And you're like, but they can't farm 1,000 acres. But the peasants go, I want 1,000 acres. I'll be rich. And see, you're a counter-revolutionary. You don't love the peasants. Execute this guy. No, but you'll never farm 1,000 acres. And so it gets now that guy's like, 1,000 acres. See, peasants, don't I love you? And the peasants are like, 2,000, 1,000. And then guy gets up and goes, peasants, you should have 2,000 acres. You should be a lord. And the peasants turn and go, who? 2,000 acres? 2,000 acres are much better than 1,000 acres. And he goes, uh-huh. And that 1,000 acres is a lie. He's never going to give it to you. He's a counter-revolutionary. But I promised 1,000 acres. No. Chomp. So the revolution is full of purity tests, and it eats itself. So all the people who start the revolution in 1789, who are the leaders in 1789, they're all dead by 1792. They've all been executed. Fine. We've seen this in other revolutions. We will see this in the Russian Revolution. We will see this again. Right? As time goes on, because it's under so much stress, you get a radical nature to the revolution. Then comes Napoleon, who's fighting wars in Italy against the Germans, who's fighting in Germany, who's going to Europe to fight, to kind of hold on to the trade routes against the British. And he's like, I can't have you freaking people forking this up. Him and the conservatives and the terror, because they need the army to fight. They can't worry about supply lines, and they can't worry about industry. They can't have all of the workers and future soldiers being eaten by the guillotine. They need the bodies. And so to control Europe, they end the revolution. They stop it. They stop it in its phase. They go, boom, this is it. They don't turn the clock back to 1788, by the way. Because why? Because they're the new elites. But they're going to stop it in 1792. So the craziness of 1794, 1795, nope, stopping it. So their answer is to make France safe, you have to spread the revolution. The answer of 1792. You have to make the peasants free in other countries. This allows, and this is Napoleon's promise, the new elites to get rich. The old elites got their heads cut off. Boop, they're done. So who's going to run France now? And that's going to be the army officers, Napoleon's homeboys. The new elites get rich because they're now running France and they're plundering Europe. And France gets rich because this is the deal to the peasants. Why would the peasants want to invade Germany or invade Italy? They're going to get rich. Like, not individually rich, but France gets rich. I'll lower your taxes. You'll have more because we're going to make the peasants pay for it. We're going to make the Italians pay for it. France gets rich and Germany pays for it. Well, how do you think other countries feel about that? Well, they don't like it. And so everyone is at war now against France to stop that. So France goes to war against everybody, and then everybody is at war against France, and this becomes the largest wars in Europe since 1648. Everybody is involved in this. From Portugal to Moscow, everyone. This is a world war. This is a European-wide war. What's the result? Napoleon and France are defeated and exhausted. Fighting everybody, throwing everything at it. Nobody wanted that in 1789. They didn't want a world war. They didn't want to be fighting naval battles off the coast of Egypt. They wanted the king to help them. They'll murder the king. They'll kill his wife. They'll murder his kids. Or most of his kids. They'll murder most of the nobility. And then Napoleon takes over and says, we're going to invade the world. We're going to conquer the rest of Europe. And comes close to doing it. But by 1815, France and Napoleon are exhausted. And defeated. And so you get a new king, a new French king. And a new French nobility. It's like it's 1788 again. People return from exile to go back to their own homesteads and their farms and their plantations and their lordly manners as if nothing had changed. But the truth of the matter was, people remembered their freedom. And in their heart, while the politics is 1788 again, France is not 1788 again. Germany is not 1788 again. Austria can't be 70. You could try, the politics can be, but the people remember. The people remember that freedom. They remember being citizens. They're not going to go back to being peasants. What you get is a conservatism in Central and Eastern Europe. The peasants will get no rights. And if they demand rights, the military force is going to end it. We see this in 1848, where there's a big revolt in every major capital city except London. Because remember, we talked about British progressivism giving rights to people as they go along. And everywhere they're going to bring in the armies to demolish people's demands for rights. The idea is there cannot be a French Revolution in Central or Eastern Europe. The governments, the Tsar, the Kaisers, the kings will not allow one to happen. But in Britain, you get liberalism. More voting rights, more representation, the end of the corn laws, which lower taxes on the peasants and allow them more free trade. And it's the only place not to have a peasant revolution, 1848. Why? Because the British realized, one, we lost America, we lost North America, we lost the USA, the colonies, the 13 colonies, because we kept Canada. And we just barely fought off the French. we don't want a peasant revolution in Britain. We'll make a hell of a lot more money if we don't have one, if the rich people just give up a little bit of rights and a little bit of power, and guess what? We'll all make out better when the pie gets bigger. And so you get liberalism in Britain, and it's the only place that avoids the revolts and revolutions of the 1830s and the 1840s. All right, so that's the French Revolution. We have one more, the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution from 1791 to 1804. And here's the big question of the Haitian Revolution. Does the Enlightenment apply to black people? Can black people be European/civilized? Now that /civilized is their definition in 1791 of Europeans. Europeans defined themselves as civilized. They didn't define Africans, they didn't define Asians, they didn't define Indians. Even if they respected their cultures, they weren't civilized. European Christians were civilized. They were people, they had rights. And so the question becomes, can black people be part of that group? Does the Enlightenment apply to them? Well, we have to talk about Haiti. And this is, when we talked about slavery, this is what we're talking about. Haiti is a wealthy colony. It is probably 30% of France's profits on its budget. It is 60% of the world's coffee. It is 40% of French sugar. And it's 90% of slaves. And 5% white. And 5% mulatto. So the 90% slaves have no rights. They're not even people. The 5% of whites have all the rights and the wealth. And that 5% of mulatto are in the middle. They're the mix. Because they're descended from white people having sex with black people. And so it really kind of depended on the white people. Did they free the mulattoes? Did they not free the mulattoes? Did they set them up in business? Did they not set them up in business? So they're this mixed group of no real standards. That's what the Caribbean looked like. And so there's slave revolts all the time. And there's fear of slave revolts all the time. But the money coming out of this, France, the richest country on earth, the largest population in Europe, 30% of its profits came from one half of one island in the Caribbean. That's what sugar made you. And so in 1789, the French Revolution begins. And you get the ideas of equality, liberty, and fraternity. Well, the French white people in Haiti hear this, and they like equality, liberty, and fraternity. They love that idea. Hey, we're all equals. Well, they're away from the king. They're doing their own thing. They're making their money. Does that mean we have more control? Yeah, that's great. So the French Revolution is, a little worrisome for the protection part. If there's a slave revolt, will France be able to send an army to protect us like the king promised? But the equality, liberty, fraternity, enlightenment part, the French in Haiti like a lot. And what happens, though, is the black people hear about this stuff, too. And they say, hey, that applies to me. And the white people go, no, it doesn't, because you're black. And the Africans say, equality, liberty, and fraternity applies to me and us. And there's more of us than there is of you. And so they have a revolt. They have a massive slave uprising. But this time, because France is at war with Europe and in the terror, there is no army to be sent. There is no reinforcements. So that 5% is overwhelmed. And even in that 5%, there's a part of that 5% that's pro-abolition, that says, that reads the alignment and says, yes, it applies to you. I'm on your side. Hashtag African liberty. I mean, there is a percentage. It may not be half, it may not be large, but it's a percentage that are, slavery is a terrible system. I don't like it. You should be free. We're allies. Don't murder me. We're allies. We're on the same side on this. And so the revolution worked. The Haitian Revolution worked. Haiti is the second state in the Western Hemisphere to gain its independence, and it is the first black-led modern state. Now, there are African kingdoms that are black-led, but they're kingdoms. They're still in the process of becoming modern. They're kingdoms like the Qing Empire and the Mughal Empire and Eastern European countries. They're still in that. They're not countries yet. Haiti is a country. The Enlightenment works. Haiti is a country of citizens with rights and a constitution. Do you see? That's like, if you're in the UN today, you're one of those kind of countries. But in 1800, there weren't that many. Most countries were kingdoms where the king got to say what happened. So this is the first black-led modern state. So this is great. This is wonderful. So what happens? Haiti fails. Now, if you're a racist, you say, because black people are uncivilized. And that's what part of the story will be, because the people who will write the history of this will be white people. And they will say, see, these people, they're not civilized, they can't run their own country. This will be the same thing we will talk about with 20th century decolonization. When the Belgians leave the Congo, they're like, 98% of you people can't read. F you, you're going to want us back in next year because you're going to fall apart. Haiti fails not because of the people, but because of the way countries work. Countries need the support and the recognition of other countries. They need other countries to accept them as actual countries. They need to trade with them. They need to have diplomacy with them. They need to have alliances with them. They have to treat them as equals. Haiti isn't considered that. Nobody considers Haiti, despite having more money than you know what to do with. Haiti obviously could make a country, it has the money to make a modern country work. It's richer than the United States. Little Haiti is worth more money than the United States in 1800. So it obviously has the money. But what it doesn't have is the support of other countries. And the United States, France, Britain reject and embargo Haitian sugar, Haitian coffee. White countries would rather ruin Haiti, even it costs them money, if it means giving up control. Because Britain and France and Spain can't allow Haiti to be independent. Because if it's independent, what does it say to their black slave colonies? Aruba, Barbados, Antigua. It says, you can be free. You could be successful. That a free Haiti, a successful free Haiti, would be this beacon to the rest of the African world. And the white countries would lose. Because remember, they only have 5% of the population. In all of those places, they will be overwhelmed if there's a major revolt, if there's a revolution. There's always revolts. But if there's a revolution that got 60% of the population moving, 60% of the slave population, there is no way. The white populations would be completely overwhelmed. The only way slavery works in the Caribbean is fear, that the slaves are afraid of revolution. And they had a right. And you say, well, what do they have to be afraid of? The constant violence, the rape, the murder, the inhuman suffering that slave owners would do to the terrorism they would do. And the promise, even if you revolt, the white people from across the sea are coming. They're going to save us. And they're going to do even worse to you. So it only works by fear. If Haiti exists, there is no fear. So white countries would ruin Haiti, ruin places, even if it cost them money. Had they just started free trade with Haiti, they would have made money. They'd rather ruin it if it meant not having control. So it proved that racism is stronger than the Enlightenment. That the Enlightenment doesn't apply to all people. And the idea is, if blacks can make a country, maybe white people aren't superior. Maybe this whole idea of the white man's burden of going to Africa, India, China, and telling them what to do, maybe we're wrong. And Europeans were not about to think they were wrong. Too much was at stake. So racism proved stronger than the ideas of the Enlightenment. And the problem with that is the Enlightenment is universal. All men are created equal. It's very it's clear. It's in English. It is all men are created equal. It doesn't say if, It's all. And racism says, fork that. Those are pretty words. They're not real. The third part of why Haiti fails is countries need education. Slaves couldn't read or write. They need money. They need infrastructure. They need bureaucracy. They need all of these things to make them work that were being denied colonialized people. That the whites, while Europeans talked about, one day you'll be civilized and you'll be independent, they never helped actually teach the people how to do that. So all the things you need to run a country, that middle class, that bureaucratic class, that educated class, they don't exist in Haiti. And so for Haiti to work, it had to bring whites back in to help run the government, to help set up the schools. And then they got colonialized again. So Haiti fails because it wasn't allowed to succeed. It wasn't in the European interest. It wasn't in racism's interest. It was in capitalism's interest, but not in racism's interest. So interestingly, this is the first time capitalism loses. Because slavery, while it makes you a lot of money, is also expensive to run. And so capitalism, hey, the Haitians want to trade for free and run their own country? Capitalism says that's great. You get to dump all of the slavery costs and you get the sugar. Awesome. But racism says, these people aren't equal. So Haiti fails and the black independence fails. Now Haiti will not be reconquered. It will be independent. But it becomes the example. See, black people can't run a country. But because it's rejected, embargoed, abused, assaulted, it's not allowed to succeed. So that's where we end. We end on the note that the age of revolutions fails in Europe, fails in Haiti. They turn the clock back and succeeds to a point in America. Because in America, you had a conservative revolution. The new elites revolted and took over. But American society, the USA, as a society, didn't change. Slavery still existed. The cities were still tied to British trade. The people who had been in charge, the rich people who had been in charge, remained rich people who were in charge. So the American Revolution works because The 13 colonies become free, and yet not that much changes. Politically or economically. Socially, a bit. But not much. And that's the irony. Is the age of revolutions causes all of this war, all of this destruction. But its success is in thinking, not in the politics, not in the economics, but in the words, but in the philosophy. Because other people will take all men are created equal, whether it's feminism or the civil rights or immigrants. Other countries will take all men are created equal. The idea of a more perfect union, the égalité, liberté, fraternité, is the tricolor flag. Most countries in the world have a tricolor flag. The La Marseillaise, everyone has a national anthem now. And like the La Marseillaise, ours is full of blood and guts. Ours is full of love of the homeland and fighting for it. La Marseillaise is the field shall be watered with the blood of patriots. And so the age of revolution doesn't work in a lot of ways. And yet in the hearts and minds of people, it's a tremendous success because we're living in it now. We are still 100, 200 years later demanding the same philosophy, the same rights that people were demanding in 1800. So have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe. See you soon.